Greetings, everyone. Greetings, family. I saw a really great video this morning about, so it's from a girl on YouTube, goes by Classic Girl, and her video was entitled, White People Are the Real Problem, American Perspective. This was a wonderful dialogue, and I feel very inspired to share, to just continue the dialogue, to add my own perspectives to the dialogue, because as you can see, you can probably guess a little bit if you are knowledgeable about, ethnicity and whatnot. You can probably guess by the features of my face where my ancestors might have come from. I was raised in, I will say particularly on one side of my family, I was more taught to, acknowledge and understand my lineage and my ancestors. On one side of my family, I was very connected. I was taught to be connected to my ancestors, to my Scandinavian heritage, to my German heritage, my English heritage. Especially, I feel like German and Scandinavian. So, anyway, everything I'm going to share here is going to be unique to my own personal perspective and my own personal experience, and I know that I am not the majority. I know that me, the way that I think, the way that I live, the way that I believe as a white person in this society is not the norm. It's not the majority. And so I do want to address, perspectives that I've gained throughout my life from, being mostly within communities of color and being raised up by those wonderful people, whoever it is I'm referring to, the people that have raised me up in my life, wonderful people. And then also just to address, some of the things coming from the European side of it, or this white narrative, because I'm starting to understand, this narrative upon white has been so normalized, and it's been going on. And this is just, this is me addressing that part of the narrative based off of me being a white person. I'm seeing also how this is harmful. What white people have done historically with all the colonization in the most recent hundreds of years, it's horrible. It's really horrible. It's really fucking horrible. But I'm also seeing how it's also affected white people on a soul level, and it's not just to begin this conversation. I want to just address that the harmful things that we are witnessing, they're not just things that are a matter of being human, but it's spiritual. It's very spiritual. These wars and these concepts and these entities, it's not just merely on a human level. It's spiritual. And certain lineages carry on certain spiritual curses, spiritual wounds, all sorts of things, karma, So we have to consider that side of the coin too, because it's so much more than just our intellectual little words and politics and whatnot. It's also very deep. It's very deep. So let's get into it. So for me, again, I grew up in a family that was diverse, that is diverse. I grew up in a diverse family with diverse experience, diverse background, diversity within race within my family, race, ethnicity, etc. So I grew up exposed to race. I grew up in the West of the United States. So something I've observed based off of my experience in the West versus my experience on the east side of the United States is like I see more integration within race where I'm from, and also like my earliest experiences. I was in a school with people from all walks of the world. Like, you know, my best friends were all from different countries. All of us, like 5 of us, we all had different racial backgrounds, but we were, little besties. We were a family. That was the nature of how I grew up with these children. And I will say, like there's an amount that there's an amount of what I experience of like my love for diversity, my acceptance for just things that are different than what I knew physically growing up, whatnot. That I do contribute to like my family and the way that my dad's side of the family has been. Just remember your culture, embrace your culture, but also a big part of that is just me, and that's my soul. Like a big part of that is something that I already had before I came here. It's not conditioned by the experience that I've had in my life. I literally remember, of course I knew, that kids at school looked different than me, but it wasn't until I was 10 or 11 that I started thinking, oh, these people are from this different country and they have this different culture. I just saw them as humans. Even they were my friends, they were my family, despite them having different hair than me and different skin, different whatever, different language. They were my family. So, there's, the more I see, the more colors I see, the more diversity I see, the happier I am. I just want just give me a whole rainbow of humans. I think humans are beautiful in all shapes and forms, colors and sizes. So, anyway, continuing on. This has been 8 minutes I've been speaking. So anyway, that's a little bit of my background. I've seen the heartbreak and the very difficult, challenging experiences that come with being either a person of color or an immigrant within the United States. I've seen racism and prejudice and judgment immediately upon the faces of white people towards my friends, towards people. People will judge and assume, right, even just upon knowing where somebody's from or knowing what they look like. It's so sad. It's ignorance, it's fear, it's hatred, it's ignorance. Again, ignorance in big letters. People just are not, they're so disconnected from the idea that people, every people is people. Every people is people, So to address this concept that white people are the real problem, I am largely going to agree with that. I've seen it, again, just as a person growing up from, European heritage, European ancestry. They're, in the more modern idea of that, a more modern experience of those lineages. I think part of it's European, I think part of it's like American, but just this weird thing about not talking about what hurts us. I think also I see that in every culture. It's not just a European thing or a white person thing. But it's like this pattern of suppression where we don't talk about the things that hurt. Often when we hurt people, it also hurts us. And it really hurts to admit that you hurt somebody. And I think we're seeing that largely on a collective level. I think the extent to which we have seen greed, control, pride take over within white people, within colonization, white people coming to a land that is definitely not their land of origin, and just killing people and trying to delete something because you found yourself in a new place and now you want to delete what's there. This girl, classic girl, she said it doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's a terrible visualization of how greed and control and trauma has impacted our world. And now we have the whole United States of America that's literally based off of that. I said this yesterday in one of my videos. Whoever's still glorifying this country, we gotta stop that. It's the history of this country. We have our stories because we're human. We have our experiences. We have the things that made us stronger. But some of those things are not to be honored. Some of those things are not to be honored. Right there, I'm talking to white people. I'm talking to white people right there. It's just crazy how normalized it's been. And again, it's because we don't want to look at it. I know white people are the worst at that. I know white people are the worst at that. I see that within my community, my family. I see that within the white populations of those people. Even on personal levels, that's how I grew up. That's how I personally grew up as a kid. Influenced by these same principles, just within my own family unit. And it's heartbreaking. It's very heartbreaking. So I've always kind of resonated with just the soul impact of this thing, of what people of color often go through. Because, it's you have something that's projected onto you. You have an idea and a judgment, which is, a perspective that I really liked from this video. Well, not that I liked it, but I thought it was very significant. She talked about how people of color will have better chances of being successful and having a good life, in places where they are more alike the people around them. They look similar. They have similar features. And that's so sad. It's so sad that within this country, white people have created this world where you're just not generally accepted for being human and for for breathing, for speaking, for having intelligence, for whatever. And this is taking me to another really important part of this dialogue is the divide. Whoa. At the divide and what I think is really causing this. Which is going to be, so just to begin this topic, is to say, sorry, somebody's like making noise out in the hall and it's distracting me a little bit. So anyway, something I've recently realized, and I saw this as a kid, like, something I've realized is the way we use this word like white. So we're experiencing this dialogue now, coming, like, people of color are speaking up. I love it. Thank you for those of you who are speaking up, and sharing your perspectives and sharing what you feel and how this has impacted you. Sorry, again, there's somebody out there banging on a door or something. Yeah, thank you for speaking up, because it's not always easy for me to speak up, and I can imagine it's also not easy for you to speak up, especially, I think, yeah, it's like, it's hard for me to speak up within certain communities that I'm in, because those communities are white, and because I'm also white, it seems like sometimes they also think that I'm going to think the same as them, and I don't. And they don't like that. They don't like that. They don't like me for that. So, that's loose, but the responses are not good. But also I'm very glad when I can, like, enlighten people or expand their perspectives. Just because, yeah, this problem isn't just a one-person problem, you know. It includes pretty much all of us, so we have to all talk about it. We have to all talk about it and, like, put the things on the table. So anyway, I'm gonna talk about, like, this concept of white, like saying white people, and this goes the same for, like, African American. Like, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to me, like, just how many, you know, African Americans, like, just don't even know, like, their African roots because of an erasure, because of slavery, and how brutally they were treated and also disregarded as human. Like, these topics are a lot. It really is a lot to, like, look back and to feel. And so, yeah, I just send love to everyone who's been affected by these things, by colonialism, by colonization, by violence, by oppression, by erasure. When I was a kid, I sometimes, like, again, I was taught to, you know, remember and honor my heritage a bit. And when I was a kid and I would hear, like, kids at school saying, like, oh, people would be like, what, you know, what race are you, or what ethnicity are you? And then kids would say, like, I'm just white. And for me, I'm like, what do you mean you're just white? Like, what? Like, because, like, white is not a description of, like, where your ancestors, like, where your lineage is coming from. Like, white's not a description of that. White is literally a description of your skin, and, like, even white people's skin is not necessarily just white. Like, like, you want to see white? I'll show you white. But like I got some colors. I got some colors. But it's just like it's just so silly that we actually like have that's been so ingrained into our language that that's how we think. It's like we see somebody who it has like brown skin or like they're black, or like even just dark skinned people. I'm just like even still their skin is not like black. It's like dark brown. Beautiful. Like but also, there's some people with white skin. Like really white skin. But it's a continuum. Like it's literally a continuum. This conversation is getting so big because there's multiple things I have to say. I'm going to make 2 more points and then I think I'm going to like be able to wrap it up. So my one point is the white thing, and it's an erasure of like European history and culture and wisdom. Because here's the thing. White people are not unique. Like white people are not unique within the scope of the world. Every single human, every single group of humanity, every single group of like ethnic origins has roots in nature, in tribalism, in shamanism, in spirituality, in connection to God. We see profound things coming from like, especially like Scandinavia, and like also I just am more informed about like more Nordic histories. But like all throughout Europe, we have our we have our roots that have been so erased and like been so erased by ourselves, like, and it like for me, I don't feel like I'm trying to bring it back. Like I'm trying to educate. I'm trying to help us remember, help us white people remember, because there are a lot of white people that in these colonization mindsets of like colonizing other people and just being like you're not like us, like they do that to themselves. And this is why like I will say like it's not that white people aren't suffering because of this. White people are suffering. They just are probably the most asleep to all of these things. And not all of them are. That's the thing, humanity's always nuanced, and there's always people that are sleeping here and not sleeping there, and like, there's a mix. Like humans are mixed bag through every race. But yeah, there are more widespread like experiences between certain groups of people. So anyway, it's really heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. The erasure period is heartbreaking for anybody who's experiencing that. For anybody who has experienced that. And this is why we really have to reclaim these things personally for ourselves individually, and connect to our lineages, connect to our roots personally. If our ancestors, if our predecessors are not going to teach us those things, we are going to learn them for ourselves because we can. At this point in time, we can. And we have to reconnect. Vibrationally, energetically, through knowledge, through wisdom, through practice. We have to reclaim. My next point. Let's see, what's my next point? This is the last thing I wanted to share. What was I thinking about? It was a really important one too. I feel like I almost came back. Sorry, guys. Been pretty steady this whole video. Now, I'm trying to remember. Oh. Continuum of ethnicity. Like, the term whitewashed, that's a thing. But it's just like washed. It's just like we've been washed. The point the point that we are in this world is so interesting because there's so much like just in America, for example. America. We have all these like narratives in America because America is like probably one of the most like freaking just like mixed places. We have everybody here, which is really cool. I'm really grateful for that because we get to learn from a lot of different perspectives if we are open to it. I do think something about this land is, I mean, of course the land is amazing, but there's something that this energetic frequency of the land signed up to do, and it was going to be to bring some people together. It's going to be to bring some people together. Because I'm not gonna use the word integrated yet. We have yet to integrate, but we have the opportunity to integrate among race, among ethnicity, among culture, among background, among religion. Like, we have the opportunity, because we are all here physically together, to integrate. According to the system, we do have to resist if we want that to happen, because we know what's happening. We know how the leadership has been. The leadership. I don't even like to use this term because they're not leaders. They're not good leaders. They're literally like greedy people, ignorant people who just want control and power and money. Like, let's be real. Let's be real. That's what we're looking at. So, yeah, that's what it is. So we have to decide how we're going to go about this. But we do have some advantages because we are here with a diversity of people, a wide range of different people and different backgrounds, different perspectives. So if we choose, we can integrate. It's a continuum. Throughout the whole world, every single continent, the indigenous people of every single continent look different. As you go north, south, east, west, you're going to see different facial features. Like, and I'm just going to say, in Europe too. Like, in Europe too. You see different, like, it's not a white, black thing. It's a human thing. It's a human thing. This is what being a human is. It's full of diversity. We just have been stripped of these diversities. And again, I didn't even say this, but I'm just going to share that in my view, music, art, these rich traditions are a big part of what this work is right now. We have to reconnect to our roots. We have to reconnect to art, to music, to indigenous wisdom. Everybody, every single buddy. Wherever you feel that you have ties, like geographically, please dive in. Some of those ties are going to be on a soul level. Okay, I have one more thing to say. Okay, first of all, some of those ties are going to be on a soul level. Like you have history there. Maybe even if you don't have physical ancestral history, you have soul history. I experienced that very strongly. Like I've been some places within my soul's journey. Like I know that because there's wisdom and there's culture and there's language that I already was connected to as I came into this life that I wasn't taught by nobody. I wasn't taught by nobody, but I found it. I found those things. And I was like, whoa, hello again. So it's beautiful. So embrace those and embrace your physical ancestral lineage. Learn about it. Do your best. And follow your intuition. Last thing I'm going to say. I'm going to give an example. I met this beautiful woman a few years ago from Germany. We found ourselves next to each other in a park, and we were having a conversation. She is, so I have German lineage, and I love it. I have more always to learn and to educate myself on, but I feel very connected to that. Anyway, so I met this beautiful woman from Germany, and she was telling me about her mother, she said, my mother's a witch, right? Her mother uses herbs and magic and the forest and all that, that exists throughout the world. That exists throughout indigenous cultures everywhere. It's the land, it's the plants, it's spirit, okay? And so anyway, a good example of, and I think in America we've been our brains have been very like fried in terms of all these like narratives, because we especially these days, if you're just an American, if you're just an American, but like if you spent most of your life in America, the narratives are crazy. Like there's so much confusion surrounding who we are, surrounding our identities. Even if we grew up somewhat connected to our physical ancestral lineage. America's a weird place. We have a lot of confusion about our identities. So anyway, a good example of how this wisdom is still practiced in Germany, for example. This woman told me that in Germany, when you go to the hospital, they're not going to first pump you up with some drugs and chemical substances. First of all, they're going to put you in a room that's dark where you can sleep, you can rest. They're going to give you water, herbal teas. Most people recover pretty well with that. Especially American people who are going to the hospital in Germany, because they never knew that you can just rest and hydrate and heal. They've been taught that with simple things you have to put chemical, stupid substances into your body. I have so much beef with the system, okay? Anyway, that's a beautiful example of indigenous wisdom, because it's truth. It's truth. It's connecting to truth first, rather than trying to manipulate something for income, which is what the Western medical system does. Anyway, just be aware of that. And anyway, so that is what I have to share in addition to that dialogue, and I'm really grateful again to Classic Girl for her insights, for her video, her sharing, and yeah, here's some of my perspectives and my thoughts, and Hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you next time.